And joining us from the Capitol is the Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who's in the eye of the storm, in constant contact, along with Senator Jeff Flake, in constant contact with the president on something that matters a lot and you're an expert at, and that is health care. And guys, I know you're both here to talk about what's happening with waste in our country that's going to outrage people. I do want to bring up the fact that Senator Paul, we did have Congressman, now Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price on a short time ago, and he told us that this is just phase one. By phase 2 and 3, a lot of the provisions that you want in this bill will be in the bill by the time it gets to the Senate. Are you comfortable with that?
You know, I think the main thing to get this passed is we're going to have to find what we all agree on. And I think there is a lot of unity on repeal, just not so much on replace. There are several aspects of their bill that I think are Obamacare light and I don't support. I don't support a new entitlement program. I don't support keeping the Cadillac tax. I don't support an individual mandate to the insurance company. And I don't support insurance company bailouts. So we're still pretty far apart on replace. But I think we're together on repeal. And I think if we did what we did about a year ago and vote on repeal by itself, I think if we put replacement together at the same time, but in a separate bill, I think we have a better chance.
Sure. Senator, you were interviewed by Breitbart yesterday, and you said you feel that Paul Ryan misled the President of the United States on how much support there was in Congress for this bill. Explain on that.
Well, I don't think this is going to be an easy passage with the Obamacare light provisions in it. And so I think every time the speaker goes on television and say, oh, it's a slam dunk, we have the votes, I just don't think that's accurate. There's a great deal of dissension on replacement. There's a great deal of unity on repeal. And I just think we need to think this through and make sure we get it right, because Obamacare is a disaster. But if we do partial repeal and replace it with other big government programs, I think we run into great problems. And there are a lot of people who elected us, 2010 the House, 2014 the Senate, now the White House, who will be unhappy if we do partial repeal or if we replace it with Obamacare light.
Senator, are you confident that you can come to a compromise together and work together as one unified party?
Well, I think the compromise is we should vote on what we agree on. So, for example, on repeal, we've already voted on that and everybody voted for it. So I think there is a unity on repeal, but not so much on replacement. But we could vote on a variety of replacements and see what happens with that and do it on the same day as repeal. But I think you're going to have to separate the issues to get agreement.
Well, let me ask you something. Excuse me for not knowing this. Do you need 60 votes in the Senate to repeal? Do you need 60 votes to replace?
If you put everything together on a reconciliation bill, you can do it with a simple majority. So I think you can do repeal with a simple majority. Right. Some of the replacement ideas will have to be separate anyway because they're not eligible under the budget rules and will require 60 votes.
Okay, let's bring in Senator Jeff Flake now, because both of you guys are working on the Sour 16 Tournament of Government Waste. Could you explain what that is, Senator Flake?
Well, every year we look at waste in government and tag it to the Sweet 16 and the Final Four and try to get people to focus attention on this wasteful spending. And there's a lot to be focused on. It's just a way to get the focus on it.
Sure. We've got some examples. This cost us close to $500,000. Binge-watching betas funded by the National Science Foundation and the Department of Defense. What were they doing?
Well, they programmed computers, actually, or robots, to watch Desperate Housewives and The Office.
Finally.
Binge watch for
and they
600
spent
hours.
Almost $500,000 of taxpayer money to do this?
That's right, to see if they could predict behavior somehow. I think it's probably the first time you've ever seen a computer throw up, but after that kind of binge watching. Wow. But I don't think the taxpayers got much out of it.
You know, too bad we didn't put blood pressure cuffs on both of you guys to watch your blood pressure go up as we describe this.
The other one you have is Squad Goals, funded by the National Science Foundation. It costs $1.1 million. I don't even know what that is.
Determining if cheerleaders are more attractive in a squad.
That's what it is?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's something called the cheerleader effect, where cheerleaders are supposedly more attractive in a group. And so they studied this effect and determined that, yeah, you're probably better off having a wingman or wingwomen when you date, because you are more attractive as part of a group.
Hence, on Brady Bunch, I remember on Brady Bunch, Greg went out with Peter, and they had a great time in the drive-in. There you go. You could have just watched that sitcom.
I mean, I'm glad they spent $1 million to determine that 6 pretty girls are more attractive than just one.
Meanwhile, this question to you, Dr. Paul, was this money well spent? $3.5 million, the drilling dentist, to figure out why people are afraid of dentists.
No, it's just one thing after another. And, you know, I've been seeing these waste things since I was a kid. Now, Senator Flake's been a leader in getting rid of earmarks, which has helped. But we've got to do more. I mean, do you remember Proxmire, Senator Proxmire from
Sure.
the 70s? He had the Golden Fleece Award with waste just like what Senator Flake and I are talking about, and it's still there. A lot of it comes from one agency, the National Science Foundation. So I want to have some reforms where we actually maybe reevaluate how they get their money or how much money they get.
This is laughable. Senator Flake, how do these things even get passed? I mean, if I were a senator and I read that, I'd say absolutely not. We're taking that out. How do these things slip through the cracks?
Well, Senator Paul is right. We've gotten rid of congressional earmarks, but that doesn't mean that wasteful spending is gone. We appropriate or authorize these programs at, say, the National Science Foundation, and they decide how to spend the money. Problem is, it's very difficult to dig in. You have to do a lot of research to find out exactly how they spend this money.
Right.
So part of the rules we need to get are simply on transparency, what they're spending this money on, and then go in and say, hey, if you simply have too much money floating around if you're spending money to see if cheerleaders are more attractive as a group.
Right. Right.
All right. Well, we have cheerleaders on our program today, so we're not going to say anything about it. Thank you very much, Dr. Paul.
And they did not
Senator
charge
Flake.
$1.1 million to be here either.
Good luck on that project and everything else. We know you got a busy day. Thanks for dropping by, guys.
Thank you.
If you have some time, pass healthcare.